I'm going to open with what I can confidently say will be the least controversial take you'll hear this week. Tears of the Kingdom is one of the best games I've ever had the joy of playing, but it's not Game of the Year potential. Nah. Tears of the Kingdom goes far beyond being kept within the constraints of arbitrary categories like of the year. What even makes a game of the year? What makes a game the best you've ever played? For me, it often ultimately comes down to how well a game gets hold of my imagination and runs with it. Elden Ring did it last year with its Dark Souls-esque gameplay in a truly unique and expansive open world that felt at the same time massive and yet also tantalizingly accessible. Tears of the Kingdom achieves the same effect, but this goes far beyond it being just another beautiful open world to explore. The moment I knew this game had latched itself onto my heart, I was literally 5 minutes in. I'd just completed the prologue and was busy exploring the Cave of Awakening and re-establishing the muscle memory from Breath of the Wild. When I stepped out and looked down at the stunning view of the entirety of Hyrule beneath me, and the game told me to jump. So I did. One swirling score, a brief skydive over a huge open world, and a title card later, my almost 30-year-old heart felt like it did when I first booted up Skyrim, or going even further back, Pokemon Red. It's the childlike wonder that gets you. This was going to be special. But why? One of the few criticisms levelled at Breath of the Wild was that while it was a fantastically realised open world, it often felt a bit empty, as if it had been designed to have so much more in it, but the devs kind of just ran out of time to fit everything in. Tears of the Kingdom feels like the opposite of that, and I think the reason for that is that the sequel absolutely nails what it is every Legend of Zelda fan, or really any video game fan, has ever wanted from their games. It's not just an open world, it's an open playground, a sandbox that you can melt down and reshape to your whim. If only you can work out where you need to put that rocket to make the tank you made go airborne. Tears of the Kingdom gives players the ability to essentially do everything and nothing all at once. I've lost track of the amount of times I've been steadfastly travelling to one thing before getting distracted by another thing in the distance, and then on my way to that distraction got distracted again by another thing, and then suddenly before I know it I'm on the other side of Hyrule, it's 3 AM, I have work in the morning and I need to go to bed. Tears of the Kingdom is what happens when you make a game that players aren't just allowed to break, but are practically encouraged to. Ultra Hand, Recall, Fuse, Ascend, Auto Build. They give such unparalleled freedom to players, as if the devs are saying, well, if you can't work out the way you're supposed to do it, then switch on your brain and tell us how you'd like to do it. A lack of signposting was one of the other, admittedly few, criticisms often levelled at Breath of the Wild, especially when it came to shrines and puzzles. But in Tears of the Kingdom, it never feels like you need telling what to do. Such are the often game-breaking and hilariously weird ways you can use Link's abilities that the sky is almost literally the limit. And frankly, if there even was a signpost, well, you'd just strap it to a rocket and send it to the moon anyway. Look at the ways some players are killing bosses, using Recall to swing makeshift weapons the size of trees at Hinoxes, or turning all the parts you can find scattered around the world into Trojan horses, tanks, fighter jets, and even actual kaiju mechs that can one-shot their way across Hyrule while you just stand proudly on top of it. Or, you know, maybe rotisserie some Koroks, or crucify some more Koroks, or commit heinous breaches of the Geneva Convention against some Koroks, all with the wholehearted blessing of the people who made this playground in the first place. Even on the first island, player ingenuity and playing the game how you want to play is at the forefront of how Tears of the Kingdom wants you to experience it. To get to the third shrine on Great Sky Island, there are a couple of ways the game intends for you to get up. The path behind the waterfall that you can follow, some vines you can climb to reach the top. Those might be how the devs intended for you to get to the third shrine, but they are far from the only ways to do it. Two of us in the GG office deforested the entire area around it and used the logs to build a makeshift climbing frame you could use to reach the part of the mountain you could actually climb on, complete with a rest area or two to regain our stamina. Honestly, there are very few tower puzzles that can't be solved by building the biggest bridge you've ever seen in your life, and then using it to simply walk over whatever obstacle was stopping you from expanding your map. Open world games are often vaunted as giving players the choice to go anywhere, to dictate their own journey, their own adventure, and play out the story exactly how they want to. But at the end of the day, games like God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring, while they give players an unbelievable amount of choices they can make, in the end, there's a set few ways that it wants you to do things. An established way of advancing along that unless you want to try and break the game, you will have to do. Tears of the Kingdom doesn't just let players go wherever they want or do whatever they want, it lets them choose exactly how they get there. Whether that's by climbing as intended, or using a series of magical lifts created from paper mache and a dream to reach heights Link was never supposed to. Tears of the Kingdom is a playground in the best way. It doesn't just want you to explore it, it wants you to break it. It revels in your creativity, and just when you think a flamethrower shield is the pinnacle of what you can do, it throws you out into a world where you can quite literally build a car that can fly you straight into Ganon's front room if you're patient and skilled enough. I have never played a game that is so happy to shout yes and when I have a weird idea about how to take down a certain boss or solve a certain puzzle. Never has a game so often and so brazenly allowed me to colour outside the lines placed by the creators and forge my own way. Zonai Shrines became less about actually working out the intended way to solve them and more about working out how I wanted to solve them. What was the most fun way for me to approach this puzzle? How does it work in my brain, not just the brain of the people who designed it? That is the genius of Tears of the Kingdom. This is the very idea, the very concept, the very essence of The Legend of Zelda distilled into one game. Open world games have become par for the course nowadays. They're as common as a platformer back in the late 90s, but often they lose sight of what they're really supposed to do, creating filler for the sake of it and becoming all the emptier the more they expand. Tears of the Kingdom has never once felt like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Hyrule is absolutely massive, but in the gaps between dungeons, sky islands, towns, chasms and boss fights, its expanse isn't empty. It's full of possibility and limitless creativity. It's honestly been a while since a game so thoroughly captured my imagination, shown me everything it has to offer and asked me not just to explore it, but make it my own. Breath of the Wild may have started the Switch generation, but Tears of the Kingdom might have just finished it. Let us know what you make of the game down in the comments, and if you're looking for some game guides to help you through Tears of the Kingdom, stick with us here at GG Recon and check out these videos here. For now, I've been Elliot at GG Recon. Thanks for watching.